On Christmas Eve, 1945, a tragedy struck the Sodder family of Fayetteville, West Virginia. George and Jenny Sodder, along with 9 of their 10 children, went to bed expecting a joyous holiday. But in the early hours of Christmas morning, their lives would be forever changed by a fire and a mystery that endures to this day. This is the story of the Sodder children's disappearance. George and Jenny Sodder were Italian immigrants who built a successful life in the United States. They had 10 children and were well known and respected in their community. But not everyone approved of George's outspoken criticism of Benito Mussolini, Italy's fascist dictator, and some believe this might have played a role in the events to come. It was just after midnight on December 25th when a fire broke out in the Sodder home. Jenny was awakened by the sound of something hitting the roof, followed by a loud rolling noise. Moments later, she realized the house was on fire. George, Jenny, and 4 of their children managed to escape. But 5 of their children, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, were trapped upstairs. Or were they? George tried desperately to save his children. He broke a window to re-enter the house, cutting himself in the process. He attempted to climb to the 2nd floor using a ladder, but strangely, it was missing from its usual spot. He then tried to use his trucks to reach the upper floor, but they wouldn't start, even though they had been working perfectly the day before. Every attempt to rescue the children failed, and within 45 minutes, the house was reduced to ashes. The fire department, delayed by manpower issues due to the holiday, didn't arrive until later that morning. When they finally searched the scene, no remains of the children were found. The fire chief suggested that the blaze had been so intense that the bodies were entirely cremated. But this didn't sit right with the Sodders. Jenny conducted her own research and discovered that even after longer, hotter fires, some bone fragments are typically left behind. This only deepened her suspicions. In the days and years that followed, strange clues continued to surface. A telephone repairman told the Sodders that their phone lines had been cut, not burned in the fire as initially thought. Jenny remembered hearing a loud bang before the fire, which could have been a deliberate attempt to set the house ablaze. There were also sightings. A woman claimed she saw the children peering from a passing car during the fire. Another woman, years later, reported seeing the children at a hotel, accompanied by 2 men and 2 women of Italian descent. George and Jenny were convinced their children had been kidnapped. Desperate for answers, the Sodders hired private investigators and even put up a billboard along Route 16, displaying photographs of the children and offering a reward. They never stopped searching, and the billboard became a haunting reminder of their unresolved loss. One investigator claimed to have found evidence suggesting that the Sicilian mafia might have been involved, either as retribution for George's anti-Mussolini views or as part of a sinister scheme to extort the family. In 1968, over 2 decades after the fire, Jenny received an envelope with no return address. Inside was a photograph of a young man who bore a striking resemblance to her missing son, Louis. On the back was written, "Louis Sodder. I love brother Frankie. Lil boys. A 901, 32, or 35 inches." The Sodders, though hesitant to believe, saw this as proof that at least some of their children were still alive. They hired another investigator to track down the source of the photo, but he vanished and was never heard from again. George Sodder passed away in 1969, and Jenny followed in 1989. They both went to their graves without answers, always keeping hope alive that their missing children might one day return. The remaining Sodder children, now grown, continued their parents' quest for the truth. Today, the Sodder children's disappearance remains one of the most haunting, unsolved mysteries in American history. Were the children taken in the night? Did someone orchestrate the fire? And what became of them if they survived? The Sodder family's tragic story is a reminder of the resilience of hope in the face of heartbreak and mystery. More than 75 years have passed, yet their case lingers in the public consciousness, a story of loss, persistence, and the unanswered questions that echo through time.